You know this movie's doing something right when the obnoxious family that was sitting behind me in the theater actually was silent throughout the entire runtime.
Garbage day! Huh? No!
Knock at the Cabin is the newest thriller from director M. Night Shyamalan. It stars Dave Bautista, Jonathan Groff, and Ben Aldridge. It tells the story of a family that is staying at their cabin for a weekend getaway when four strangers approach their door with a ominous message and a impossible choice to make. Now, I've had a complex relationship with a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's work. I love Unbreakable. It's actually one of my favorite movies. I think it's his most brilliant and most complex movie that he's ever made. And I do enjoy Split and Glass as the other parts of that trilogy, even though they're not quite as good as the first film. I did also really enjoy The Sixth Sense. It's, a classic for a reason. Other than that, though, I don't really like a lot of his other work. It's just not for me. However, I am happy to report that this film is not bad. It's actually quite good, with a few flaws that I'll get into. Let's start with the positives. The performances really carry this movie. Dave Bautista gives a really great performance with some really great emotion and nuance to it that, he's definitely not your typical wrestler turned actor. He's really proven that he can turn in some great performances and that he isn't just Drax the Destroyer. The actors who play all of his followers that come to the cabin with him all do a very nice job as well, including Rupert Grint, who you might remember from Harry Potter. However, the standouts here are Jonathan Groff, Ben Aldridge, and the young Kristen Cui, who plays their daughter. Their reaction to their situation and the way they grapple with the choices they have to make throughout the film is very surprisingly real for one of Shyamalan's more recent films. I thought they all did a very nice job kind of elevating a script that's like spotty in places. I will also say that the shot choices here are very clever and smartly used. This is a very violent movie without being violent. Most of the violence is implied with quick cutaways or off screen, and you just get it from the sound design, and it's actually very fitting for this film because this could have easily just turned into a gore fest, and that would not work with the tone that M. Night was going for here. There's also some really cool camera movement choices and lots of cool uses of point of view. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, there was a shot of a weapon being used and the POV is of the head of the weapon. And I didn't really expect that sort of camera work from this movie. I thought it would be a lot more just standard, wide shots and whatnot. The script does a good job of showing backstory and building tension. So really you get a lot of backstory of the two main adult characters who are, two husbands in the family, and you get some nice insight into why they are the way they are and why they react to the situation the way they do. It gives nice context to that. And the script does build tension very well, like I said. There's some genuinely really anxiety-inducing moments that had me kind of gripping the chair a bit. So definitely, the movie's effective in those moments that are meant to make you feel uneasy. However, this does bring me to my negatives of the film that keep it from being really, great. I will give it credit. The dialogue here is definitely not as stilted as a lot of M. Night's other movies, like The Happening, where nothing the characters say is believable in any way. And I think the performances do help in that respect. However, the script is very, very exposition heavy. Every scene is somebody explaining what is happening rather than just letting the audience kind of experience it. And, just based on the shot choices again and, the overall story, it's not that hard to figure out what he's trying to say here, so you don't really need to explain everything. And also, yeah, the story is very predictable. You know, they try to have a twist in there like M. Night usually does, but it's, you know, you kind of understand where the movie's going from the first scene. I called it, certainly, and I'm not always the greatest at doing that. My biggest frustration with this movie was there was a lot of this has to happen for the movie to happen moments. And what I mean by that is characters will make really stupid decisions or just act really strange in order to get a plot point to happen. It's a plot convenience in order to move the story forward. And it normally I can look these things over, but here it was just so obvious and so on the nose in certain places that I just couldn't overlook it. In order to explain what I'm kind of talking about here, I'm going to get into some slight spoilers here, so if you don't want to know anything, just skip past this part of the video, but I have to explain. The biggest moment for me that felt this way was when the two men lock Batista in the bathroom and he has a gun on him. And at that point in the story, they did not believe his apocalypse scenario. They didn't believe that this was happening, and they just didn't buy into it. So I was questioning why they didn't just kill him there. Why did they put him in the bathroom? And of course, he escapes and gets the gun from them, and it's literally only there so that he can make it to the ending where he slits his throat, and then they have to make a quick decision in the last 2 minutes of whether they have to kill each other. So it's like, it's such a plot contrivance that it just wouldn't, it is so obvious that it just doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so I'm done with spoilers now. Overall, I think the movie was very good, you know, despite my complaints. I would call it a decent film. It's definitely not great, but it's definitely a lot better than some of M. Night's previous work. I didn't see Old, but a lot of people told me it was really, really bad, so I just didn't bother with it. This movie is pretty good. With that being said, I will give Knock at the Cabin a 7 out of 10. Thanks, as always, for watching. If you like this review and like my content, please give this video a like and consider subscribing. Thank you.